Should you bet the Indianapolis Colts to win over or under 8.5 games this season? I'm Professor MJ, a university professor with a PhD in statistics, and my main goal is to help you crush your bookie. Keep watching until the end because in this video, I'm going to unveil a betting tip that produces a return on your money of about 14%. Franchise QB Andrew Luck stunned the NFL world a few weeks before the 2019 season began by announcing his retirement at age 29. I really felt sorry for Colts fans. That had to be a devastating blow. The timing also prevented the team from drafting accordingly. So Indianapolis rolled with Jacoby Brissett, and they were right in the thick of the playoff race. They were sitting on a 6-4 record before a 4-game losing skid crushed their hopes. Let's assess the 2020 Colts offense compared to 2019. The whole QB position received a lift with the addition of Philip Rivers. Whether he'll be an adequate starter or not remains to be seen, but having Rivers Brissett has to be viewed as a better alternative than having Brissett Hoyer, as was the case in 2019. Now, the running back and wide receiver positions remain fairly intact, with the exception of a few backups that won't be there anymore. The team definitely has good depth in the backfield, but the same cannot be said about the receiving corps. However, the wide receiver position is much more likely to see an improvement, with T.Y. Hilton having a clean bill of health and Paris Campbell getting a chance to show what he can do at the pro level after sustaining lots of injuries last year. Another candidate to start opposite Hilton is second-round rookie Michael Pittman from USC. He does a great job with contested catches, and he has reliable hands, as shown by his 5 drops out of 254 targets in college. Wow! At tight end, losing Eric Ebron represents a deterioration for the team. The Colts still have Jack Doyle, but the Doyle-Ali Cox duo is not as great as the Doyle-Ebron pair was. Finally, how is the 2020 outlook for the offensive line compared to last year? Even though I love the group, you have to expect a downgrade here. These guys played at a high level, and none of them missed a single game last year. What? Can you really expect them not to miss any game due to injuries in 2020? Nah, that seems highly unlikely. So therefore, we have an expected upgrade at QB and wide receiver, but a likely downgrade at tight end and on the offensive line. The team finished 16th in terms of points scored per game. I expect the production to stay approximately the same this year. Will the 2020 defense be superior to the 2019 unit? Well, I love the fortification on the interior of the line with the big-time acquisition of DeForest Buckner, and to a lesser degree, Sheldon Day. The cornerback position may also see an upgrade with Rock Ya-Sin's sophomore season coming up, and the additions of Xavier Rhodes and TJ Carey, with the hopes that one of them will bounce back after a frustrating 2019 season. At safety, Malik Hooker and Kari Hillis could also elevate their play because of their young age and added experience. However, as a whole, I see a downgrade in the edge linebacking corps. Justin Houston is not getting any younger, and Jabal Sheard could be missed. The team must also cross its fingers that linebacker Darius Leonard won't suffer another concussion because he is an impactful player. So overall, I see a small upgrade here. Adding Buckner, coupled with young, talented guys like Leonard, Yassin, and Hooker, makes me predict they will finish around the 12th to 15th place in terms of points allowed, as opposed to 18th last year. Alert! Alert! It's time to tell you whether it is best to bet the Indianapolis Colts to win over or under 8.5 games in 2020. I'm going to answer this question from 3 different sources of information. Source number 1, betonline.ag's point spread. Source number 2, myself. Source number 3, NFL experts. Alright, so let's start with the first source, betonline.ag. This sportsbook has already posted its point spreads on all 256 regular season games in 2020. I converted those spreads into win probabilities for the road and home team, and I simulated each of the regular season games one by one by following those probabilities. So I came up with the final standings for one simulated season. But why stop there? I simulated 1 million seasons, and I simply looked at the number of times the Colts ended with 9 wins or more versus the number of times they ended the season with 8 wins or less. And here are the results. In 66.9% of the cases, the over bet was a winner, while in the remaining 33.1% of the simulated years, the under bet was a winner. Now let's look at the odds available. I took a peek at the odds from 13 well-known online bookies. Now the best line on the over can be obtained at DraftKings, and those odds are minus 143. While the best line on the under was seen at Sports Interaction at plus 180. Alright, that's all good, but what is the return on investment, the ROI, on the over and the under, based on those probabilities and those odds I just told you about? Well, the ROI on the over turns out to be plus 13.7%, while the ROI on the under is negative 7.3%. So, according to BetOnline's point spreads, my final betting tip is to bet the over. Let's move on to source number 2, myself. Alright, so I analyzed each NFL team in depth. If you go to my website, professormj.com, I detailed every offensive and defensive position, and I took a look at the player acquisitions, departures, the draft, so I considered everything that was available. So I strongly encourage you to go to professormj.com under the section Free Picks and go to the NFL section for my detailed write-ups. Now, based on this information, I also estimated the point spread of all regular season games. And once again, I used a statistical software to simulate 1 million years based on those new point spreads, Professor MJ's point spreads. And according to my lines, the over has a 62% chance of hitting, while the under obviously has a 38% chance of winning, which is fairly close to BetOnline, but I'm not as excited about betting the over as BetOnline. Finally, the third source of information, NFL reporters. Alright, so I found 12 NFL experts who posted their power rankings as of now during the offseason. And I combined those 12 power rankings into just one. Those ratings were used to estimate the point spread of all regular season games through an algorithm that I won't go into. Alright, and once again, I simulated 1 million seasons, this time using the NFL experts point spreads, if we can call them like that. Let's call them like that. And this time, the over has a 64% chance of winning, while the under has a 36% chance of winning. So as you can see, all three sources of information pretty much agree. The over has a 62 to 67% chance of winning. So overall, if I can summarize, I would argue that I believe the fair odds, which means the odds that should be available if there was no vigorish or no commission from the bookies, should be over minus 160 and under plus 160. So personally, I would argue that you could consider betting over 8.5 wins for the Indianapolis Colts if you can get odds that are minus 145 or better. I would not bet at lower odds for sure. Now the good news is there are 19 other NFL teams whose ROI on their win total is bigger than 13.7%. So there are lots of nice bargains available. Subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you don't miss out on those great betting opportunities. So this is Professor MJ. I hope you enjoyed the results from those in-depth statistical studies. I'll see you in another video. Thanks for watching.